Welcome to CSEC Biology TCP from TCP Academy. I am Mr. Wilson, and today we're going to be looking at the Human and Social Biology paper 2, and of course it's a January 2019 paper. We're going to be doing an overview of a paper. We're going to be looking at question number 3 through to question number 6. You would have seen question number 1 to 3 we have already done, and it is on my channel. I'm also going to be showing you how to access the information on my channel. So for those persons who are not too sure where they can find some past papers, I'm going to be helping you out with that sometime during this lesson. Let's hop right into the show. So the paper usually looks like this for those persons who are seeing it for the first time. We're going on down to question number 4, being that we did question number 3 in our last presentation. So you remember us going through question number 3 in our last presentation. We're going to be looking at question 4 to question number 6. Now you're seeing the blue covered area, CSEC Biology TCP and TCP Academy, and that is the, of course, channel link. Now you're seeing this because persons have asked us to cover the question so they can have a fair chance of attempting the question before we reveal the answer. So we're going to be looking at this very quickly so that you can, of course, hop on to your next past paper. Now Conrad and his sister April are fraternal twin. Now if they are fraternal twin, it means that they are dizygotic twin, which means that it took 2 sperms and 2 eggs in order to produce the twin. Now we are supposed to state the genotype that determines the gender of Conrad and the gender of April. Now it's important to note here that the fact that we're going to be calling on is that the father is the person who usually determines the sex of the offspring. So let us look at what the genotype is going to be here. So if we look here, Conrad inherited Y from dad, and that makes the genotype XY. And one might wonder where the X is coming from. The X is that which is donated by the mother. So if it's a male, it means that the Y came from the father, and if it is a female, then the X would have been, one of the X would have been donated by the mother. So here the genotype is XY for Conrad and XX for April, and of course one of the X shown here is from dad, and of course the Y is from dad. Very well, let's move right along. Then we have another question here. Identify the chromosome that makes Conrad male and the chromosome that makes April female. Of course, we're going to always be using XX for female and XY for male. So the male here is XY, and of course the female here is going to be XX. As simple as that. However, if you argue differently, you can always leave it in the description or the comments below so that we can have a dialogue around your answer. Alright, so we have something new here. A lot of students will be, what's that mean on screen? Now figure 3 show a karyotype of an individual with a genetic disorder that occurs on the 21 chromosome, or chromosome 21. Now if you've been studying, when you see chromosome 21, a number of things should come to your mind. I can think a lot of students are saying Down syndrome, and the fact that it's 21 and you're seeing 3, you're saying that this is trisomy. Very well, I think you are on the right path. Let us look at what the question wants us to answer. Alright, so it says name the disorder that the individual may have. Alright, so it is on chromosome 21, the disorder, and we're seeing 3 instead of 2. So that says to us that the disorder here is, of course, Down syndrome. Just to note that Down syndrome, there are different types of Down syndrome, And when we think about Down syndrome, we must always bear that bit in mind. Now, like there are different types, we have to be familiar with all the types so that when we get to our questions, we can answer them with, of course, great ease. Said, which parents passes on the chromosome that determine the sex of this individual? Now, let us not be confused. We want to find out here about the sex, not about the disease that was moved on. So the sex of any child is going to be determined at all time by the father. So let us look at this here. It's going to be dad. State whether or not the disease can be inherited. So we're talking about Down syndrome. I hope we can recall that Down syndrome is pretty much caused when one of the chromosomes does not separate properly, and as a result the offspring might end up with 3 copies or an extra partial copy, which is usually on chromosome 21. That is what causes Down syndrome. Now, our question here states whether or not the disease can be inherited. Yes, the disease can be inherited, and we must understand, as I said before, that there are different types of Down syndrome. There is trisomy, which is probably the most popular, mosaicism. So mosaicism, trisomy, and translocation. Now, translocation Down syndrome can be inherited. So yes, it can be inherited. Translocation Down syndrome will of course move from parent, and of course it will move to the offspring. Alright, we'll move to the child. There we go. Then we have to define degenerative disease. What's degenerative disease? Degenerative disease, we have looked at that in one of our lives. You probably want to go on over and look at Mr. Wilson live on the channel, and of course you can find more about degenerative disease and other types of disease. Now, degenerative disease are physiological defects that affect the body as we age. So as we get older, physiological diseases will be affecting us. Before we move any further into the lesson, I want to show you something. YouTube is asking us to do what we call a action call or a call out, so that persons understand how to use the platform better and of course more efficiently. So I'm going to be taking you over to the YouTube platform and back. Stay with me. Now, having gone onto your browser, you might find something like this. So you would have to select YouTube. That's the first place you're going to go. And when you go to YouTube, for a lot of persons, you might find a video on the display or the home screen. So here's a video from Mr. Wilson. I'm going to be opening this video to show you a couple of things. So alright, so let us look at the action call, things about this video that probably you did not know. So if you are going to subscribe, which I'd love for you to subscribe, you could click here and of course you'll be able to subscribe, or you could move on down and there's also subscribe here. You could click on the subscription, click this notification bell and select all to be a member of the channel. So click subscribe here, or click subscribe here, or then click the notification bell. Now the video that will come up next is usually here. If you click here, it will tell you what video will come up next, the suggested video, and of course you can watch that video. There are times when you want to get to the back end of the channel, so you want another video from your favorite creator, Mr. Wilson or CSEC Biology TCP. You can come on down here, click this here, and it will take you to the back end. But just before we go to the back end, you probably want to leave a comment because you agreed or you were satisfied or you just want to share. You can come on down here, click comment, and of course leave your comment. But let's hop on into the back end of the channel. So I have found this video. It's a great video from CSEC Biology TCP, and I love some more videos. I could just click on that icon and it will take me into the back end, and here you'll find hundreds of videos that you can choose from. Now you could choose these videos from playlists and they will be sorted in different playlists. For example, now you're looking at past paper, so you look for the past paper, whatever there is that you want to look at in biology, it's there. Or you could look for it as videos, and you could scroll through the many videos. I think over 200 and something videos here for you to choose from. So there we have it, a very easy way of finding the channel. Let us look on over here. So on screen you could just click on this and get to this is our live that comes up Sunday evening. Please be reminded we have a live on a Sunday, Wednesday and Friday at 5:05 p.m. and that's Eastern time. Let's hop on back into our lesson. Now, hemophilia and sickle cell anemia are both genetic disorder. State two similarities and two differences between these diseases. Remember, you can pause at any time. We're going to unveil. So our two similarities are they both are diseases that are inherited. So these are inherited diseases. We need to pay attention to that. And of course, they both impact the blood and its normal function. Now you'd know that hemophilia prevents the blood from clotting normally. So when a person has a scar, a cut, when it continues to bleed and would require some medication for the bleeding to stop. Under normal circumstance, it would have stopped itself. In sickle cell anemia, what happens is that the blood cell takes a sickle shape or a half a shape, and as such it's not able to carry the amount of oxygen that it would have normally carried. So the similarity here is that both diseases are inherited, and of course they both impact the blood and its normal function. Let's move on to another question. The differences are, and let's look at those. Hemophilia is a sex-linked inherited disease, while sickle cell anemia is not. Hemophilia affects the blood clot. Sickle cell anemia does not. Sickle cell anemia affects transportation of oxygen in the blood. Hemophilia does not. So we're asked to do 2, and we have done a little more than 2 here for sickle cell and of course hemophilia. So we move on to question number 5. So we are now in section B of the exam paper, and it wants us to answer all questions in this section. Now, due to the worldwide prevalence of disease, health and health-related issues have become a major concern. Personal hygiene is extremely important to one's overall good health, and when neglected, certain infections can develop. Now, define the term good health. Now, once we're going to talk about good health, we have to recall that which the World Health Organization would have said. According to the World Health Organization, health or good health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Persons in good health is not being adversely affected by any of the 3. So once you are in good health, physically you will be well, mentally you will be well, and of course socially you will be well. If you have a scar on the skin or a bump or something like that, then you are not well according to the World Health Organization. Now name 2 infections that could develop as a result of improper personal hygiene. Now there are many. So the 2 that I will provide, of course you might provide 2 other, but I chose these 2. Athlete foot is as a result of poor personal hygiene, and that is pretty much a disease that affects the feet. And then you have Norwalk virus, which causes diarrhea, and if you're not washing your hands, you could definitely end up with this disease. But there are many others, so if your answers are different, don't be too alarmed, because there are many that we could have chosen from. Here we go again. Many pathogens are foodborne, and therefore it is extremely important to ensure that food is as free as possible from pathogen. Now describe 2 named methods by which pathogen may be removed from food. So how do you remove pathogen from food at home? A lot of persons will say, well, we cook, or some persons might say we eat the food at a certain temperature to get rid of pathogen. Now the methods are many. Now pasteurization can be used to remove pathogen from food like milk. Now, the process involves heating the milk to about 63 degrees Celsius for about 30 minutes and then allow it to cool. Boiling can be used, but boiling will destroy the taste in milk. So in some cases we are boiling other product, but as it were for milk, it is probably not a good idea. Now, ultra high temperature treatment, or UHT, may also be used to remove pathogen. The process may be used to treat milk, baby food, yogurt, among others. The process involves heating the food to temperatures above 135 degrees Celsius before packaging. In an ultra clean condition, the product is then placed in pre-sterilized container. In both methods, pathogens are destroyed. So this is pretty much a method that they would use to put things preserved on the shelves in the supermarket and all of that. So these are just two methods you could boil. There are other methods that you could use, but I chose these two. So if these are not your two, don't be too alarmed, but these are two possible ways. Antibiotics can be used to treat some infection, but their use has been abused. One issue that has arisen as a result of the abuse of antibiotic is drugs sensitivity. So you see that taking this drug here, it might just do more than you expect it to do, or cause more problem than you actually had. Now we're supposed to identify and explain one other issue relating to the overuse of antibiotics, which could make them ineffective. Now I have covered this, I think, on the 2020 paper, where we looked at, I think it probably was 2021 paper, the 2021 paper, where we looked at antibiotic, as it were, for influenza and COVID. So you are seeing that this is a popular question. Now, antibiotic resistance is a condition in which the overuse of antibiotic causes some bacteria to become resistant to the antibiotic. Hence, the antibiotic is no longer effective in killing these bacteria. All right, so this is another, and this is pretty much an answer. I don't know that you'd go anywhere else for anything. That is the answer there. We'll move on to question number 6, which is the final question on this paper. So, on a field trip, David visited the municipal sewage treatment plant. All right, so we know that sewage treatment is very, very important to our survival. Now, list 4 stages in the sewage treatment process which he would have observed. All right, so we are looking at 4 treatment in the sewage treatment process, and I want you always to remember these 4 steps. It's going to be the common steps. So first, there's going to be screening, then there's going to be sedimentation, aeration, and then there's what we refer to as the effluent disposal. All right, these are the 4 likely steps, are the 4 things that he should have been guided to make note of. All right, name 2 unsafe method of sewage disposal used in the home. All right, this might not be your home, but of course it affects many homes, more so some of these homes that are in shanty village or poorer community will have this problem. And a lot of persons can relate to this, the disposal of sewage on open land. Another is the disposal of sewage in water. So the sewage is disposed of in rivers and other water body, and of course the sewage is not treated. These are 2 unsafe practice that happens at home. You might say that your home is not beside the water, but of course your home is beside land, I hope. And in some cases there are persons who would have their settlement pretty close to water, and as such the sewage is disposed of in rivers and streams. Then we're looking at Benjamin has a pit latrine that is filled with fecal matter due to slow decomposition. He is thinking of using the content of the latrine to fertilize his garden. Heck no, we're not going to be going there. Advise Benjamin as to whether this is a good idea. State 3 reasons to support your response. So first we need to answer me. We need to find a position. Is it a good idea? Yes or no? Alright, so the first thing we should have said here is that it is not a good idea. That's the first thing. It is not a good idea. That's the first response you should have had. It is not a good idea. So probably I should put that in here if it is not here already. So let me just go up. It is not a good idea. Alright, so the first thing, so we are supposed to advise Benjamin as to whether this is a good idea. So the first thing, you answer that part of a question. Then the next part, you are going to state 3 reasons to support your response. Now, while the content from the pit latching will have trapped nutrient, it is not a good idea, there we have it, it is not a good idea to use the content as fertilizer unless it is properly treated. In his case, it is best to cover it with soil and dig a new pit. Alright, so while it traps nutrient, it is not a good idea because it might contain pathogen or it will contain disease causing agent, so you really don't want to use it. To use as fertilizer could expose the consumer of garden produce to hookworm, which if not treated could be fatal. Now the sewage may also expose person to disease like typhoid. This too can be fatal. Another possibility is the exposure of persons to gastroenteritis. This, like the other, can be fatal. There will be flies that complicate this problem. Alright, so we really don't want to use that. Just let us finish up here. Complicate the problem. It must also, alright, we should also note that the content will be affected by wind, water, and other animals. Hence, the adverse effects are too great for this action to be implemented. Alright, so just 2 actions Benjamin should take when his pit latrine is filled with fecal matter. That's going to be easy. Cover it with soil and dig a new one. Alright, that's going to be the easy thing here. Cover the fill pit with soil and dig a new pit. Alright, it has done its time. Alright, here Charlotte walked through her sweet potato patch and notices that one vine has larger leaves than the other vine. She later discovers that this vine with larger leaves produces very large sweet potato. Now name the event that could have caused the difference in the size of a leaf and the sweet potato. First, this is not genetic engineering because she had walked through the field. This was not something that was intentionally done, so we can only look towards mutation. If it's not genetic engineering, then it's going to be mutation, which is going to be something by nature in this case. So mutation is our answer here. Now state 2 reasons why the event name in C is beneficial. The plant will be more likely to survive and pass on desirable characteristic. That is one reason why it's beneficial. Because desirable characteristic, bigger potato mean more money on the market. Now it introduces variation to the gene pool, making the plant less susceptible to total wipeout if there is a disease. So here we have some good reasons why this is of course beneficial to have mutation taking place. Thanks much for watching, and please be reminded that you could just visit our many videos on the back end. Here we have it, many videos you can find, and if you're just joining us to find these videos, all you need to do, you're watching this one, so here you will find the suggested video. That's the next video that comes after this video. Then you can click right here. You'll observe that there is a yellow icon, should be right here, and that yellow icon, of course, will, here's the yellow icon, allow you to subscribe. You could also move on down and click subscribe here, click the notification bell, and of course this will allow you to select all, so you'll be informed as soon as there is a new video. So I've shown you here the suggested video, here how to subscribe, here how to subscribe, here to hit the notification bell, and of course you could find the script for the video here, open transcript, and you'll find the notes for the video in transcript by clicking these three little dots. To ensure that this video be a part of your playlist, you can click thumbs up. Once you give it a thumbs up, this will be saved to your YouTube channel and you'll be able to access it at your leisure. Now, if you want to see more of my content, all you need to do is click on this blue icon and it will take you to the back end of the channel. To leave me a comment, to say thanks or otherwise, all you need to do is to scroll on down just below this section here and you can add your comment. Please make sure you make use of all. Like by clicking this icon here, share by clicking this icon here, subscribe by clicking this icon or clicking this icon,
passing this imaginary line in nature.
And to find more videos, click on this blue icon that says CSEC Biology TCP and it will take you to the back end. Remember to join me on Sunday, Wednesday and Friday for live shows on YouTube Live, Mr. Wilson Live. Once you would have subscribed and hit that notification bell and select all, of course you'll be informed as soon as there's a new publication or whenever I have a new show. Continue to enjoy the rest of your day, and of course please be reminded to join me for another publication.
Wonderful. Pollen grains move from flower of one plant to the flower of another plant of the same species, or one might say the same type of plant. So if we're paying keen attention here, it's pretty much the same type of plant, but it's as if one plant is moving a pollen grain from point X to point B, where there is